Hello YouTube and welcome to episode 3 in the Nisemonogatari reaction series. Just the one episode this week, so sorry about that, but I think it'll make sense with the arc going forward. Just 2 next week and 2 the week after, and should finish up this arc. Just right off the top, I got a couple of new video ideas that I wanted to run by you guys. Would you guys be interested in something regarding like a seasonal wrap-up or a seasonal preview for the next season of anime coming out? Like what would I watch, what has a good premise, blah 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 blah, something to that effect. I don't know, it's been kind of tossing around in my mind, so also, would you guys be interested in kind of like a tier list of episodes or something to that effect for a series that I've already seen that I really enjoy? So I could go back and talk about a series that I really love in kind of a ranking format. Would those interest you at all? Just comment below if they would. But I'm also kind of struggling to fit everything in at the moment anyway, so Anyway, I'm just going to jump into the comments right now, and I've done a bit of a summary similar to how I've done in the past. First off, Backslash had some praise for my format and the lack of monetization on said format. I'm not going to say the monetization will not come eventually if this thing grows to a size, and that's definitely not an expectation, but if it happens, it happens. But the format in particular, it's something that I really want to keep around. It's the analysis type format. It's more of a slower look into a show, trying to pick it apart, trying to say what it does well, trying to say what it doesn't do well, trying to see what it's actually trying to say, as opposed to just simply my raw reaction to said thing. Not that the other content is bad, it's just different. And definitely when I've kind of rewatched stuff in reaction format, I definitely appreciate the more analytical side of it, because I've seen the episode before. I know when he's going to react, per se, but I don't know his specific thoughts on why it made him react that way, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Alice House just gives me a heads up that it's okay to watch the previews because they kind of have unique dialogue and not really any spoilers and are kind of in a bit more of a 4-coma format. So I'll keep those in the future. I won't pause before the previews like I have in the past. Alice House also says to watch the Courage to Tell a Lie music video, which is kind of a Love the Way You Lie thing from Eminem, kind of a parody there, I thought. But yeah, it kind of used the dialogue from the first episode in kind of a musical format. It just made me think about how different the internet is from now to 2012. Just so quaint back in the day, I think. Yeah, that kind of video getting that popular. Benjamin Lee came through with a little more kanji knowledge, with the fire kanji being used in both of the sisters' names, as well as the moon kanji being used in Tsukihi's name. I'm never going to say that right, I don't think. Gian Bueno adds some similar stuff in that each of the Araragi siblings have a relation to the word calendar in some way. And there was a particular frame that I wanted to draw attention to. Yeah, this kind of stuff, right? This is like the pictures in their house, right? And it's got like a distorted calendar. It says annual calendar there, and it's got kind of family pictures surrounding it. So that's a little bit curious, I thought. So something to watch going forward, this kind of calendar thing that they have going on. Don't really know the meaning of it, but anyway. Then we have kind of the main theme of the comment section of the last video, which was kind of the contentious nature of Nisemonogatari as a season of anime and in the context of the show and outside of it. I have a few quotes here from certain commenters. G-Bird says, the worst part of the series, have fun, simply, and then a bunch of people vehemently disagreed below. Most criticized season of the series, says Fernando Lemus. Some say this season separates the normal anime fans from the Monogatari fans, says Dharma Imancia. I'm sure many have disdain for this part of the series, but there's a purpose to it despite the strangeness, says Tyrese Andre. And Nise is great. I can see why people don't like it. There's some weirdness throughout, but overall it's just what Monogatari does great, says Nathaniel. So I'm getting the idea that, yeah, this is very contentious. It's probably a sticking point in the Monogatari community right now, or has been previously as well, in that some people defend it, some people love it, some people hate it. It's, it's kind of polarizing, which is cool. I like polarizing stuff. It means it actually says something, or at least tries to, I think. So we're going to see going forward. I still have a full open mind about the season, and I'm going to tell you my actual thoughts if they are negative or positive. Simon brings up this theory in his comment around the way that Araragi treats Senjo versus the other girls as a narrator of the story, in that he reveals the kind of sexual thoughts and stuff that he does with all the other girls, but we never see any of that stuff with Senjugahara. Like, they haven't even kissed yet. I mean, of course, he has dirty thoughts about Senjugahara, but not in as much detail. And I think that's an interesting detail, especially around some of the stuff we're talking about in Kizumonogatari around Araragi's self-worth and how that relates to his kind of sexual desires and kind of the fight against his nature and all these other things and blah, 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 his treatment of women. It's pretty complex. And I like this theory, I think. I'm going to watch it going forward. Kramer adds a bit of context regarding the references to Evangelion and Deca Ranger, which is a tokusatsu show that I was not aware of. Specifically, this Evangelion reference, which I'll get up here. Like, I don't know if I'm the strange one, but I don't remember this scene at all. Like, it wouldn't even be in the top 20 things I remember from Evangelion, so it's a really weird reference, I think. I can't even really see some shot similarities to what they were doing with Senjo Gahara in that scene as well, so just a bit weird. I don't know, maybe it works better in Japanese. Also, answering another couple of Kramer's questions, I am using the Blu ray version according to where I got the file from, and I think an OPED tier list would sound like a good idea as well, but it would be something I do at the end of the series. Matt kind of talks around this metaphor around the stage and film imagery as a continuation of the analogy surrounding oddities being the backstage and people without knowledge being the actors in the situation. Examples as evidence for this theory are the stage lights in Araragi's house and the curtains kind of in Araragi's mind when he's talking about Hachikuji. Another thing I'm going to watch going forward, I also remember there was kind of the film reel that was going around as well. So, filmic imagery, watch for that and how we're going to twist that to create meaning. Matt also had a panty joke from the book, which I'll read here. Like following the pie in the face shenanigans, which again I don't really want to talk about because it was weird. Hachikuji and Araragi have the following exchange. Anyway, Hachikuji, what were we talking about? About how much you love panties. Honestly, I could take them or leave them, just ask Hanakawa. And of course, he has taken Hanakawa's panties within Kizumonogatari. So, wouldn't make sense for it to be in the show because Kizumonogatari wouldn't have been out yet in an animated format, but works in the books. I actually really like that. I think that's very funny. Kramer also had some ideas around spoilers in the series going forward and how I can avoid them and create a better reaction. He had some theories around how the episodes are titled after the arc. I'm not really sure how I can fix that, considering that the arc is also in the subs, if that makes any sense. So when the titles come up, it tells me what the arc's name is. So I'll just get it that way anyway. So unless I go in and edit sub files, which I don't know how to do at all, I don't think I can do that. One thing I can do is avoid looking at these key visuals because they are a little bit spoilery. So the thing he brought up is I was spoiled about the hair design changes to Hanakawa and Senjugahara, I think, which may just be some kind of character development haircut, which isn't my favorite trope, but anyway. So I know that they get a haircut. I would consider that a minor spoiler, but maybe it's relevant. I don't know. It's something I would get excited about in the moment anyway. So I don't really know how I can implement that stuff, but I probably won't be looking at key visuals as much anymore. Nathaniel had some similar thoughts as well about how I can improve the reaction video format, with a little bit more emphasis on my current thoughts right now and how they'll contrast against my future thoughts. This I can certainly do. Like right now, I can tell you that some of my favorite episodes were episode 12, episode 15, episode 5, and Kizumonogatari 3. I think those are my kind of favorite-ish stuff at the moment. Maybe missing some stuff too. I really like the Kambaru stuff, I think, which is very funny. Kind of a quick ranking of the characters without Araragi. Araragi's kind of a separate deal. Hanakawa's my favorite, which shouldn't come as a surprise to many people. Probably then Kanbaru. I'm really coming around to Kanbaru. I think she's really funny. Then probably Senjugahara, Hachikuji, and then rounding out it is Sengoku. Again, I don't really know much about the sisters so far, so they could go up, they could go down, especially after their arcs. And that is not to say that this is a final ranking, of course, it will change over the course of the series. I can already see Sengoku's rating raising in my mind based off episode 2 of Nisemonogatari, so we'll see how we go there. Nathaniel also had a comment around kind of this vampire side and human side of this conflict, and he says he's heavily in the vampire side of it. Kind of brings up that it's a little bit hypocritical for Araragi to be criticizing kind of Shinobu for eating humans because it's what she has to do and it's similar to how humans eat animals, and is that the right thing, and blah blah blah. Personally, I think there's some difference between eating humans and eating animals. I can see why Araragi feels the way he feels, and I can see why you feel the way you feel. What was his last line here? Because I actually really liked it. Where is it? That's why the story is so tragic to me. No one is necessarily wrong and no happy ending possible, although this may be the nearest thing. And I think that's the most important thing that we're getting out of Kizumonogatari. And that's an end to the comments there. It was a little bit of a doozy, but thanks for sticking around. Just a little bit of a recap before we jump into episode 3. We open on a new season of Monogatari, and Araragi has been kidnapped by Senjougahara. She says that it's for his protection, so we'll see where that goes. Then I think we flash back to the day before, where Araragi was going to go study with Hanakawa, but she cancels for reasons, and he goes and hangs out with Sengoku instead. He talks a little bit with Tsukihi before leaving, and she adds some context surrounding the sisters and the past of the Araragi family and Sengoku and her relationship to Araragi. Then Araragi is kind of a huge pervert with Hachikuji for a while before talking about some general foreshadowing around the arc, i.e., there's the stage metaphor in conjunction with the sisters, and talking about her and Araragi's relationship in kind of an affirming way, where Hachikuji says, I must be sticking around for a reason, so there must be something that I have to do. Kind of like this really positive look at destiny that I really like. The next episode then begins, and we get some kind of intro sequence to the sisters, and it reveals their roles as the brain and the brawn in the Fire Sisters, as well as the sun and the moon, as well as their want to justice, but however they are imposters in this regard. And we're going to see what that means. It's kind of why this arc is called Nisemonogatari, or this light novel, or whatever we want to call it. Araragi then arrives at Sengoku's house, and she's trying very hard for his attention in kind of an endearing way. And this was a big portion in me increasing my rating in Sengoku. I thought that scene was quite good. Then Sengoku reveals that the sisters were looking into rumors of the existence of the supernatural and trying to find a way to stop this line of thinking. And I think this is kind of where we're going with the arc. Araragi is kicked out of Sengoku's house before receiving a call from Kambaru, who is just comedy gold through this whole episode, asking him to come over and clean her room. On the way there, Araragi finds Karen and they have some kind of a confrontation, kind of not really, just in kind of a siblingy way. Karen ends the conversation by saying it will all be resolved by tonight, and that's when she will tell Araragi and Tsukihi about what happened. So she's being kind of obscure at the moment, but it's intriguing. Then a comedic sequence surrounding perversion and room cleaning plays out between Kambaru and Araragi, and it is quite enjoyable. I enjoyed that. Araragi then vows to never sexually harass Hachikuji ever again, which I doubt actually happens. And that's where we end the episode, which is kind of a weird spot to end it, but I digress. Some predictions going forward. We've met up with all the other characters so far, so maybe something with Hanakawa and Senjougahara, maybe? We'll see. I can have my hopes. Another prediction would be that we're kind of 3 episodes in and we haven't really gotten started yet. So something to start us off in kind of the supernatural direction would be great. I think that might happen by the end of this episode. Another thing we're on the lookout for is I kind of got this really summary OVA vibe to this whole kind of series so far, this Nisemonogatari. So a continuation of that is something we're going to look for as well. Just my shill stuff before we jump into episode 3. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Very close to 200 subscribers, so I'd appreciate if you're a lurker and haven't subscribed, clicking the button, but I'm not going to force you to do anything. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation, comment below. And I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you would like a follow back and we can socially interact. It'll be awesome, I swear. Rightio, let's jump into episode 3 of Nisemonogatari. Rightio, got episode 3 of Nisemonogatari up here ready to go. Let me pop that up on screen. There's a big Araragi eye on screen, so watch out for that. 25 minutes on the dot is the length of this video, so sync that up at your leisure. There'll also be picture-in-picture in the description if I've done my job correctly. Rightio, we're going to jump right in. Rightio, 3, 2, 1, go. Yep. Okay, so we're still with Kambaru. Yes, let's take a break. Oh, look at the cleaning. They did a great job. I think you might, actually. Great. Yeah, she would. We've been through this. Yeah, they do. No, I think that ship sailed. Oh, yeah? Sengoku. cold sweat. That was very meta. Yes. You couldn't refuse? Ah, that's some Evangelion shit too. Great. Yeah, that's been a theory in the past. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you like Senjugahara. Uh, interesting. I wonder. Yeah, she's my savior. What about them? Hmm. I like this art. It's oh, his name will come to me. It's kind of like his art. Junji Ito? Maybe? Or maybe I'm just incorrect. What are flower cards? Why would you buy a game you don't know the rules to? They're playing like Yu-Gi-Oh. Are you? I think you're lying. The voice. You're getting dropped on your neck. She is very competitive. Is it a luck-based game? Don't tell her that. A little bit of foreshadowing there, maybe. Yeah. Why is he suggesting that when he's already looking at his hand? Oh, we're back to the Senjugahara one. Okay. Is this how it was framed last time? I honestly forget. The song's really cool though. Now this feels different. No, it doesn't. Am I crazy? It's been like a whole week. I'm so forgetful. Did I say this song's really good? I don't know how they always do it. How does Shaft always do it? Even like their bad shows have really good like openings and endings. Well, I guess I could say that for most of the big studios actually. Music is so important to an opening too. Like people like to focus on the visuals, but music's way more important, I think. Oh, yep, I remember how they did that now. Okay, cool. See what I mean? It just says Karen B there, so I can't really not spoil myself. It's just injured perpetually. Yeah, I never really thought about that. Oh yeah, there's that too. Okay. Again, it's more this. Oh, this is some Kizamonogatari stuff with the trees. Who is you? This guy seems like a vampire. Hello, Kaiki. I see the dead trees. He doesn't want to know about you? Ooh, sapling. I like this like Victorian evil person music. Hmm. Gaian. Oh. Yes, it would. I have no choice but to ignore it. No money to be made. Interesting. How cool were the colors there? That was really awesome. Yeah, he did give me the same kind of vibes. Oh, okay, apparently he's different. Oh, guillotine cutter. Imagine watching this without seeing Kizu and then going, who the hell is guillotine cutter? I agree. The red trees behind him. He is quite ominous. But I'm just wondering about how this relates to Kambaru. Hello. Hello, Senjugahara. Oh, he loves it. Bye. Did you hear about your little Twister game? Oh, nice. Oh my god, my brain. Ah, it's so early. Akira, of course. Yeah, you focused on studying or not? Hanakawa cancelled. It's different. I mean, kind of. I mean, that's your own opinion. Please step on me. Churaragi. Yeah, you're breaking the fourth wall. We've done this. Yes, we understand. Hmm. Araragi is kind of short. I guess she's got heels on. Well, that was like some raw shit. Yeah, it's close on 5. Yeah. She is good with the old Stanley knife, so. But you did play Twister. We've been through this, you will. I think he gets it. He really wouldn't. Just walked a circle around him, that's pretty good. Who I belong to. Yeah, just kind of broke through it all, right? All the artifice. Anyway. Yeah, what are you doing? Well, you kind of took a different route home. Is that the implication? No, you went to clean another girl's room. I was cleaning a room. Well, he did. Hmm. I think she could see through it, though. Just ignored. Huh. And then we're back here? Yeah. So what about Kaiki? Oh, nice spin. Oh, this song's cool. from Kaiki. Deshu. Hmm. Oh, it's good old Mr. Donut's back. I love Mr. Donut. That word again. Yeah. So he said he would but didn't? Con man. Yeah. He feels a lot like Nisemonogatari. Have suffered greatly at his hands. Yeah. Got into more debt. From Kaiki. But how does this relate to the sisters? Yeah? Could you? Go click on him. How? Can I reach into his pocket? I thought she might. Alright, who's talking at you? Younger sister, help me. Hmm. Oh, that brother strength. So he could always escape, huh? Hmm. Well, the music's telling me that you are. What was this, like, psycho music? I've never seen Sejikahara flustered before. What's going on? Hmm. I've got no idea what any of that means, but I think that's by design. This ending's really good still. What did I think about that episode? At least we got started a little bit, you know? There's a clear conflict. And the younger sister, which would be Tsukihi, says she needs help. So that's kind of our place to go forward from here. Why was Senjogahara that flustered around Hanakawa? And then combined with that conversation at the start of the episode too, with Kambaro. Interesting. Again, just a lot of clever Senjogahara stuff, like in the dialogue, which is always good. They're good at that. It's the kind of Monogatari dialogue, you know. And yeah, I get to watch the little preview because apparently it's not spoilery. So we'll see. We'll see how I feel on this one. If it is spoilery, then we won't do it. But it didn't seem that spoilery. It's mostly visual stuff for the spoilers anyway. So hello, Kambaro. Yeah, bro, all the puns. What? I don't know. No, I don't. Right, yeah, let's hop into a little bit of analysis on that episode. Yeah, that episode was quite intriguing, I thought. It's definitely a difference from kind of the breezy feel of the first two episodes in this series and kind of into a little bit more of the plot stuff, which is nice. We need to get started at some point. And it kind of all starts with the introduction of this character, Kaiki. So we're going to keep an eye on him going forward. He seems kind of like an in between maybe a Oshino Meme and a guillotine cutter. That's at least what they're kind of saying, right? Again, I'm kind of lamenting how Kizumonogatari apparently cut some stuff probably around Guillotine Cutter to kind of inform me a little bit more there, because he seems pretty just evil to me, Guillotine Cutter. So, and again, it's kind of crazy how if you watched this in release order, you would see Guillotine Cutter and you'd be like, who the hell is Guillotine Cutter? You would have no frame of reference there. Kind of interesting. Again, in the ending there, I kind of talked about where we're going forward plot wise, and yeah, it was nice to see Senjogahara again, as it always is. I'm kind of intrigued to see Hanakawa's involvement here now that she's kind of implicated in some of the stuff that's happening. We're going to have a close look at that conversation at the end, I think. But either way, I'm going to pop it on screen. And we're going to go through, and I'm just going to pause it when I find something that's interesting. So we kind of continued just where we left off in the last episode, and this is clearly the cutoff point between. So in these Monogatari scenes, we see a cutoff point between kind of the fun stuff, cutoff point. Here's our serious stuff. Here's our plot development. Here's this kind of stuff, right? We saw it in the scene with Sengoku when they were kind of playing board games and that kind of thing, and then it kind of transitioned into talking about the sisters and kind of the plot relevant stuff there. We saw it a little bit in Nisemonogatari as well, where it'll be like kind of a hard break in the conversations between Hanakawa and Araragi, where it would then change to something that is relevant, something that will inform the story going forward, as opposed to just kind of the fun stuff. Not that I mind either half of it, of course. It's just interesting how they delineate it so strongly. So if you were doing a plot only run through Monogatari series, you could kind of cut it a lot of segments in half. I think that's kind of interesting. There's a lot of great teasing here from Kambaru, kind of this conversation around you'll be a great wife and I'll be a great husband, and kind of the gender roles there. That's kind of fun. And then this is a little bit of foreshadowing for the conversation later. Well, Senjukahara would probably kill you, and then she would probably kill me too. And that's exactly what Senjukahara says. So that's fairly clever as well, I think. This is intriguing as well. You and Senjukahara make a good couple. However, I think you'll end up marrying Hanakawa. Well, that's what Hanakawa wants anyway, but just reading the tea leaves, I don't think that's what's going to happen here. Hanakawa's got more development on the way, though. She has to. She has to get over this somehow, I think. But we're going to see. They're going to have some clever way of doing it, of course. I just love that the show's bringing up this pairing of Senjukahara and Hanakawa, and then they're connected at the end of the episode in some way as well. Especially in relation to Hanakawa having something to do and not being able to tutor that day. It's all very interesting, isn't it? The visual technique here is quite good as well. They think they switch out like spaces on the game of life, which makes sense. That's kind of fun. And I think Hanakawa's is a cat. Yeah, Hanakawa and cats. They go together like, I don't know, like two things that go together. Also, like this relationship tree as well. It's like, you two will be married, and then I'll be your mistress, and then and then Sengoku will also be another mistress, and then, yeah, by extension, Hachikuji's involved as well. Kind of a very meta look at this kind of harem setting. It's pretty funny. Definitely taking the Looking Glass on itself. And again, similar to how we've seen in the past, all the books fall as kind of Araragi is agitated. Like they're balanced quite well, and then they all start falling down and get shaky as Araragi or Kambaru's mental state changes. This as well, Hanakawa and Senjukahara. And they're kind of talking about how would Senjukahara kill Hanakawa if Araragi and Hanakawa got together. But again, Araragi reinforces the whole savior thing that he has going on. I don't think you should worry about their relationship. They live in their own little world, you know. Yeah, is this Junji Ito inspired? I legitimately don't know. Any input would be appreciated. But since those two are happy with it, it isn't my place to say anything, even though Kambaru isn't happy with their own little world. Intriguing. Again, this is a little bit of foreshadowing, I think. I'm not going to read too much into it, I'm just going to let it happen. This is pretty cute, how they play this these flower cards. I don't really understand how this game works, but obviously Kambaru isn't very good. I'm guessing it has more kind of going on in the whole brains department, and that's why Araragi's a little better than Kambaru, even though Kambaru is extremely competitive about it. Like, this face is classic. Like, that's how I feel playing these kind of games sometimes. Like, everyone's just better than me. You should be more like Sengoku. She taught me a game called Twister. And then Kambaru is like, Araragi, you should focus on who the real final boss is. I love how innocent Araragi is around people that he sees no sexual attraction to. Like, he just doesn't see it in Sengoku at all, which is kind of funny. Then into the opening again, and it's the Senjukahara opening, which is curious. So it's because Senjukahara takes the main role in this episode as opposed to the sisters. I guess that makes sense. And I guess when the sisters are involved, presumably next episode, we'll see their opening again. Again, this is just a little indicator for those that are paying attention to what the episode will be about. And it's something that I probably need to look at going forward. I think the last text part was explaining about Karen, so this is about Araragi Tsukihi. Unlike her sister Karen, she changes her hairstyle every now and then according to the season or her mood. She never has the same hairstyle for more than 3 months, so I can't judge with certainty whether she cares about it at all. This is kind of informed by the last text that was kind of about Karen changing her hair once and then getting scolded for it. Until just recently, she sported long straight hair and then changed to a current shaggy Dutch bob. But in Tsukihi's case, the problem is not the surface but rather what's inside. In stark contrast with her sister, her eyes have a sleepy, grown up look in them, and she has a small physique. She has a characteristic slow way of speaking, and she looks really feminine. However, she is even more ill tempered than Karen and is easily provoked. It is not unusual that when Karen gets herself into some violent trouble, when looking at the circumstances carefully, it turns out that Tsukihi was the reason behind it all. She loves Japanese clothing so much that she uses yukata as pajamas, and she entered the middle school tea club just because she wanted to wear a kimono. She is supposedly learning the principles of the tea ceremony there, but that seems to have no calming effect on her personality. Although her histories might get even stronger, as if influenced by a certain short tempered and stubborn monk who would get furious about someone putting sugar on the watermelon. Don't really know what that last part means, but anyway. I like these kind of text parts a little bit more than the other ones. These are just increased context into the characters, as opposed to outright spoilers, which some of the text previous has been. So these ones are more worth reading so far in this regard. Araragi here kind of posits the idea of, do your grandparents ask about the arm? And then it's kind of revealed that she puts kind of a wall between her and her grandparents, and that's the way she wants it to be as well. I wouldn't want them to ask, she says. Which I don't know. We'll see where that goes. And then either way, I only have to tolerate it for a few more years. And then we cut from that kind of nice looking, like bright sun, like welcoming, summer afternoon feel to it all. And then we see these trees, right? Then immediate harsh red. This is very Kizumonogatari, and it's very interesting that they bring up guillotine cutter as well. It's a nice piece of connective tissue between this and the previous entry in the series. It's nice. Yeah, just the framing here is immaculate. We don't really know who this is immediately. Just looking at his kind of hunched over back, I was like, is that Oshino Meme? Is he back? And I thought that would be kind of lame, but it isn't. It's like Oshino Meme, but different. He immediately asks, are you a child of this household? Because he is looking for the Gaien child. And that's Kambaru, because that's her mother's maiden name. I'm wondering, and I think this is the connection here, if Kambaru and her mother perhaps got in contact with this guy similar to Senjo Gahara. And then this guy's a con artist and didn't do the job correctly and is now looking for recompense in some way from Kambaru for that. I don't know. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. If he's just out for $1, it looks like Kambaru's family is fairly loaded, so maybe a good place to start. Again, I don't necessarily get evil off of this guy. Ill omen is definitely a good word for it. Like I remarked in Kizumonogatari that I thought Guillotine Cutter was downright evil, and he enjoyed being evil. And it seems like that's maybe not completely the case, but that's the interpretation I got. I see this guy as kind of a halfway between Oshino Meme and Guillotine Cutter. A real anti-hero, I think. Potentially more siding on the anti-side of that. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm not getting downright evil from him yet. I suppose if I'm a dead tree, you must be a sapling. Now this has multiple layers to it, right? Because we have all the stuff around Araragi being a sapling and using that as kind of his personal look at himself, right? What was the theory? It was something that's alive that doesn't have the same, functions as a human. That's what he would rather be. Something that's, very straightforward and doesn't need this whole emotional complexity attached to it. It's a pretty extreme self-loathing. And this guy sees that immediately. He sees himself as something similar. Again, you could relate this, right? You go, Aragi's a sapling, Oshino Meme is a tree, and this guy is a dead tree. Maybe something like that? Like Araragi's growing into be somebody like Oshino Meme? I don't know. And then attach that to the tree that's at the cram school? There's something there, I think. I'm not quite sure if I'm making the correct inferences from it, but it's definitely intriguing. But it seems I've wasted my time. I hardly feel any aura at all, and this is in reference to the Gaien child. So I think we're going to learn a little bit more about Kambaru through this guy, I think. Or potentially more about her mother. We'll see. Her mother didn't seem like the most stable person, so I can't see this going particularly well, but it is what it is. Now that I'm thinking, maybe the only other time we would have seen Guillotine Cutter if we hadn't seen Kizu would be the start of Bake. in that first little movie there. And I think I maybe would have remembered it. Maybe not. I don't know. I was wondering what the kind of reaction here would have been. I guess they would have just ignored it completely because they don't know who it is. Or they would have read the novels and they would have known who it is. It's not really much else to talk about there. So Araragi starts to follow him, but then turns his bike around and goes in a different direction. Going in a different direction to Kaiki. Maybe in his development? I don't know. Maybe it's intuition. But I have a feeling it's a bad idea to get involved with him. I don't think you're going to have much say in the matter. I think you're going to get involved with him no matter what. I thought this scene here was quite funny. So sees kind of Senjukahara in the distance, kind of waves at her, then she just like leaves. It's pretty funny. I don't know why it took me so long to say the word Akira, but it's the bike thing from Akira. I haven't seen Akira, so but I know what the bike thing is and that he's doing it, so pretty classic stuff. I'm probably not going to go into as great a detail here with this conversation, but Senjukahara is pretty on point here, just kind of bullying him in a pretty general way for slacking in his studies and kind of visiting all these different girls, and then questions her devotion to him. And yeah, it's, pretty fun stuff. I'll try to highlight the interesting shots, but a lot of it is just one wide where she's kind of moving around the scene, which I think is a pretty good way to spend your budget. Like, it's obviously not a budget full scene, so don't spend it here. Churaragi, is that like saying like an idiot? I think it is. And then again, they break the fourth wall here a little bit with kind of Senjugahara doing Hachikuji's routine. I don't know how she would even know about that, considering that she can't see Hachikuji, but I digress. Again, it's a fourth wall break. It doesn't need to make sense. This scene here kind of reminds me of the one in, I think it's episode 5 of Bakemonogatari, where they have the conversation kind of affirming their relationship for the first time after they've kind of dealt with Hachikuji. So similar framing there, which I think is interesting. It's still got a lot of that Bakemonogatari imagery in it with a lot of the construction sites and signs and blah, blah, blah. So nice little bit of connective tissue there. And then she gets out the knife, kind of similar to episode 1 of Bakemonogatari, and threatens him in that way. So it's a little bit nostalgic there. She says if it ever gets any serious with any of them, any of the 5 that I just mentioned, including the grandma, let's make it 6, I'll kill you. Doesn't mention Hanakawa. Again. Interesting. It's a real dominating move. She's like, don't forget who you belong to, and then she walks a circle around him. She's definitely not letting up on the whole character that she has going on, right? Then Senjukahara kind of makes sure she breaks eye contact with Araragi before saying something that she actually means, and again, she's being a tsundere. It's nice. It's actually great to have such a popular boyfriend, but I wouldn't say that to your face, of course. Senjukahara kind of has some premonition here, which is interesting as well. I thought you saw Kambaru naked. It's like he did, but he's not going to say that, of course. And then that kind of naturally flows into talking about Kaiki. And just hearing the word ill omen, it makes Senjukahara stop, turn around, and then she hears the word Kaiki, and we cut forward to when he's been kidnapped. So it's implied that she heard the word Kaiki, she immediately reacted in a way that's, chaining up Araragi and making sure that he doesn't get away for his own protection. And then, yeah, we hear about Senjukahara's experiences with Kaiki relating to her kind of weightlessness, her kind of thing going on, and he was one of the people that she saw for that. There's 5 of them, in fact, so I wonder if we're going to go through them all. I didn't really think this would come up again as such a concrete plot point, but she did say previously that she had lots of people help her, or try to help her with what she had going on. And Araragi was the only one that dealt with it completely, and he did it in one day. And that's why she was so, impressed by him and that kind of thing, right? I didn't think it would come up this concretely that we're going to go back and talk to the people that tried to help her, or tried. So it'll be interesting to see going forward if there's other things that I've kind of, just kind of dismissed in the dialogue that will come back later as bigger plot points. I've got a feeling that it will. I like Mr. Donut. Whenever I see Mr. Donut, it makes me laugh because it's so comedically out of place based on the rest of the city and kind of in the Monogatari series. Again, it just looks like Nevada or like California or something like that. Very American. It's very funny and out of place. I like it. Here's that word again as well, imposter, the same way that the Fire Sisters are imposters for what they're doing. It's all kind of coming together thematically, which is nice. What does it mean to be an imposter? What does it mean to not be what you claim? To be playing as somebody else? I think this is meant in the most literal form, in that he advertised that he could fix what he said he could fix, and then that didn't happen, and caused a bunch of debt to happen to the Senjogahara kind of family. I don't think the interpretation for the Fire Sisters will be quite so blunt. There's some shots in this scene that kind of have this film grain on it, again, alluding to this kind of stage theatrical metaphor they have going on as well. Kind of this look at Kaiki is a peek behind the stage, right? This is what it's really like, this is what he's really like, or perhaps this isn't what it's really like, and this is the kind of stage that we're seeing, and there's something else deeper going on behind it. But then there's similar film grain just here as well. So maybe I'm just reading into it a little bit too much. So the money side of it, it's less important. She just does not want Araragi to get involved with this guy, to the point that she would trap him in this room forever if he moved to this city. Must have been some kind of negative experience with him, huh? And then she just says, "Oh yeah, I'll just go kill him. I'll go click on him." Or like Call of Duty or something. Aragi's phone starts going off, and of course they do the thing where, "Oh, I have to get it out of your pocket, and I'm gonna do something dirty in the process." Because, it's Monogatari. Of course they did that. And this is the message from younger sister, Tsukihi. Sub, help me. Don't know what sub means there. Is that the subject line of the email? Help me? That's very serious, so we'll see where that goes. I don't know if it really is that serious, but we'll see. Either way, it causes Araragi to kind of break from his chains. I kind of think this is an implication that he could break out of these chains at any point and was just kind of enjoying talking to Senjogahara and, trusts her implicitly enough that he wouldn't break out of something that she didn't want him to break out of. Until his sister is threatened and kind of his brotherly instincts take over. Araragi kind of talks his way out of it here, which is pretty nice, I think. Just as you want to protect me, I have something I want to protect. Another nice line as well. Can you boldly claim to love me even if I do nothing here? Oh no, that's really cool. She kind of breaks through the facade a little bit. It's nice. The classic tsundere stuff. Then Senjogahara receives a call from Hanakawa, and this is very interesting. Kind of flusters her a lot. No, that's a misunderstanding. I never said a word about that. Wait a second. You don't have to do that. That wasn't the deal. Stop, please. Give me some time. All right, I'll do everything you say. And then allows Araragi to go home. What's Hanakawa up to? Yeah, it really shakes her up. And we've had a lot of discussion this episode about this Hanakawa Senjogahara dynamic. I've posited in the past that they have some history, but that doesn't really seem to be the case here. It seems like something else. Again, all will be revealed, but it's very intriguing. And we get this, white cut with the cat ears, indicating that it is Hanakawa, which is black Hanakawa with the white hair. Again, it's confusing. And that's where we kind of end the episode. Again, the ED is really cool, and I kind of really like the last section with the 4 coma stuff, even though it was very Japanese and pun based. It is what it is. But what did I think about that episode overall? Yeah, quite good. It's, gets the arc going in the right direction, and we've kind of brought up a lot of stuff from the past that is going to keep impacting us going forward. This family theme that was existed in Bakemonogatari is still kind of present, so family is very important here. Whether it be with Kambaru and her mother and her grandparents, or it be Araragi with his sisters. I said this last week, but it feels way more like the sequel to Bakemonogatari more than anything else, and I like that. That's cool. We're going to have to keep an eye on this Kaiki guy going forward, and whatever this Senjogahara Hanakawa thing we have going on as well, that's very interesting. But either way, we're going to leave it for next week. Just going to do my shill stuff before I get out of here. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Almost up to 200 subscribers, so keep that in mind, please. So your sub would be appreciated. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation, comment below. And I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you would like a follow back. Right here. Thank you very much for watching this week, and I'll catch you again next week. So thank you very much, and I'll catch you later.